So it's 6th of October. It's about 6:30, 6:45 in the morning. So it's just getting light, and we're going to head down to the big wood. Hopefully we're going to hear some red stags rutting this morning, and we'll just have a general look around and see if we can see like a poor spike or a crappy 2 or 3 year old stag. Yeah, and see what we can take. So the rut's been a little bit slow getting going because it's been quite warm with these like high temperatures we've had, but it sounds like they're going fairly well now, so we'll go and have a look. So I'm just checking with the thermal, there's nothing out here. We've got a field of sugar beet in front of us. You can see a roe deer out there. It sounds like there's a stag sort of down on the edge of the wood, so obviously we don't want to bump them as we go down. The wind's good, it's coming in my face and we're going to be heading that way. So there's definitely a stag of some sort just going down the edge of the wood here. It looks like quite a young one from what I can see in the binoculars. But it's going away from us anyway, so we'll just keep heading down and follow it along. He's drifting into the wood anyway. That young stag that was out in the field, he just moved into the edge of the wood here and he's just crossed over into the wood properly. What you tend to get in the rut, the same with all the species really, is you'll get obviously the big boys, like at the business end of it, and then you'll get like the younger ones and the spikers all moving around the outside, sort of trying to get in on a few hinds but staying out of the way of the really big one. So we're just trying to find some of those smaller ones around the outside. So I'm hoping we're going to find something around the corner. So it's really warm still, which was I haven't had them on straight away, but put some gloves on just to cover my hands up when I'm going up and down with the binos and the thermal. And obviously if I see something, I'll usually put this up around my face just to cover that up as well. So I can hear a big stag inside the wood roaring, just on the edge, but inside. I was hoping they were still going to be out on the field in front of me, but they obviously moved in a little bit earlier than normal, sod's law. We've still got a field of maize up here as we walk up on the left, so we'll just keep going up slowly, see if any young ones come out of that. Or if we get really lucky, they might come back out. We'll just go up slowly and have a look. I've got a young stag just on the edge of the wood up here. I can't see what it is really because its antlers are in all the undergrowth. We'll just edge up slowly and see if it stays there. So we've got this stag up in front of us, it's about 170 metres, but just wound the zoom up on the scope, and it's just a really nice young stag, so we can't shoot that one. That's probably its second set of antlers. Looks like another one or two spikers coming across from left to right in the distance. Got a nice 4-point spiker, so he's got 2 points on either top of his antler. And then we've got another spiker just with single spikes. One of his antlers actually has got a fork at the top again, so we'll just push up a little bit further, see if anything else comes across. So we've just got a really nice young, early middle-aged stag just coming across from left to right. Lovely symmetrical antlers, good number of points on them. He's having a bit of a roar, but the bigger one's in here in the wood. So yeah, he's just a really nice one to leave for the future. He's probably 4 or 5 year old, so really wants to be double that before we obviously think about taking him with a client. We'll just stay here a minute, see if anything else follows him across. That sort of big young one, he's gone in the corner of the wood over there. Obviously the really big stag in the area is just through the trees here, I don't know, probably about 100 metres into the wood. He's roaring quite well. Probably hear 2 or 3 different stags roaring in the wood. We'll just keep heading through this way, just have a look on the edge of another field, and then we'll probably start going into the wood and just have a wander about the ride, see if anything comes across in front of us. We've got another 2-point spiker coming over from the next field. It's just gone behind the hedge, so we'll just leg it over there, see if we can get a bit closer, maybe get a shot on this one. My fault there, I was just trying to get along a little bit further so it would walk out across here and you guys would get a good chance to have a look at it before we shot it. But it must have just had its head in these low bits of cover and just see us coming along there a bit too much. So obviously run back into the wood there. Never mind, we'll just keep heading up this way. know if I've ever said to you guys before, but the iron gates here, there's two entrances in the wood that have got iron gates, and on the outside of the wood in the late 1600s there was a big 2,000 acre deer park, and they were obviously like ornamental entrances in and out of the wood if you were going to ride through it. So you've got the iron gates, and then around the edge of the whole wood you've got an earth bank which would have had a wooden fence on top to keep the deer out. And in medieval times they think that it was more of an open pasture woodland, and you'd have actually had deer and wild boar inside the wood, and they'd use that as a medieval hunting area. So red deer have been here for hundreds of years really, in one form or another. It's all quiet up this edge. Obviously these first two fields across here, they've already sprayed them off, so there's not a lot of food value on there, but the reds have been coming out of the wood and walking right over to the far pine tree line. There's a field of sugar beet out there, so obviously in the morning they've been walking all the way back across these fields, but it's quite late now. It's, I don't know, 7ish, 7:30, yeah, 7:30. So most of them are going to be back in the wood. So we'll just go up the edge here and come back in on another ride. The only problem we're going to have is the wind will be slightly against us now. You can guarantee with stalking, whatever you come out for, you see lots of everything else. So I've seen quite a few munties creeping about in the undergrowth. But obviously if we came out for muntjac, there'd just be red deer cutting about everywhere. It's a different, really nice young stag. 300 metres down in front of us. So he's just come out of the area where that really big one was roaring when we were stalking up the maize field first thing. So we've just been loitering with intent on the crossroads for like the last 10-20 minutes. I was hoping where that young stag came out down the ride here that maybe a few spikers or a crappy young stag had come out from that big one that's roaring in the wood still. But we could wait here all day and nothing come across, so I think we'll just head down another one of the rides. Just look under another bit of woodland as we go, see if we have any luck over there. Come into the middle of these sort of pine tree and beech tree area. There's a big wallow in front of me here, which there's been a bit of activity, but there's nothing overly fresh, as in, you know, done in the last few hours. So through here is where that big stag's roaring, but it's too thick underneath all those old hazel coppice stalls to really try and go in there to have a look. We'll just end up bumping them out and, you know, pushing them off the area. We'll just wait in here for another 10 minutes, see if anything just comes wandering through, and then we'll work through the wood behind me. You can see where the reds come out of the wallow and then just rub themselves on the trees. So all the trees in the immediate area have got mud rubs on them where they've just come out and sort of wiped themselves off. Little kids have been driving me mad all morning. So they've got a set of wings on them, and they're basically little flat flies. They fly onto a host, and then once they've found someone they like, they drop the wings off, and then they just crawl around in your hair and drive you mad. But you can't really squash them. So you see behind me, we've got this ancient old hazel coppice stalls that hasn't been done probably since the Second World War. You can see the browse line through there where the red deer eat the leaves up to a certain height. So that's the kind of woodland that that big stag's roaring in over here. But we could stalk in there and get a shot on a deer's body, but it's very hard to see which specific one you're looking at in terms of stags, because obviously their antlers are always in the trees or in the leaves. So that's why it's better to just leave them quiet and then try and catch up with them on a field later on. So we're just walking down the central ride, and a hind and a calf just came out about 200 metres in front of us, around the edge of a little forestry pen, and then they've run down. I was hoping something else was going to follow them around, but there's nothing obvious. So you see this silver birch has come down in that sort of recent high winds we had. You can see already the stags have got onto it, sort of smashed it up. Obviously it doesn't matter because this one's fallen over anyway, but this is the sort of damage they can do to good healthy trees obviously. We just walked down there past an old hazel coppice pen and heard something crashing away, obviously red deer. So we just ran back up here to the crossroads just in case they decide to come across the ride here, but they've probably just pushed away through the wood itself. It's always worth a little look just in case. So you can just see here where a young stag, maybe a spiker or something, has just been rolling around in this little wet patch. But compared to those other big wallows in the middle, you can see this one's fairly fresh. You've got fresh footprints, and you can see where he's put his knee in there to get back up again. So that's us come out of the wood now. Still a couple of stags roaring in that thick woodland where we were this morning. But I think the moral of this morning is just shoot the spiker when you see it, rather than trying to get into a better position so you guys get a better video to watch. But we'll head up to the truck now and then just have a look at another area on some fields to see if anything's out and about, which I don't think it will be now. But if it is, we'll make a plan. If it isn't, we'll make a plan for this afternoon. So we've had a little drive around in a different area. Sometimes you get a few young stags just sitting out in some fields where there's a little thin bit of wood, and obviously the bigger stags are in the wood with the hinds, but it's all quiet. So it's about 10 past 10 now. Go find some breakfast and then make a plan after that, I guess. So we've had some breakfast. It's now about 11:45. So normally for the red deer I wouldn't go out in the middle of the day, but obviously the rut is happening, so there might be a chance that some younger stags are moving around still. So we're just going to go and have a look in a thin bit of silver birch woodland out the back here, see if we get lucky. If not, it'll be waiting until they come out at last light tonight. Obviously got a 3006. See if we've got any more luck. Just stalking through the wood here, and on this opening in the oak tree, obviously we've got some what looks to me like chicken of the woods growing. So this is an edible fungus, but obviously
don't take my word for it. If you ever see anything like this, then do your own research. But you're supposed to be able to take slices off the outside of it, and then it continues to grow out, and you can see, well, it looks like a deer's been along and chewed a lot of the bottom of it here, so obviously a good indicator that it's fairly safe to eat. Yeah. Nice find. So we've just spent an hour and a half sort of slowly wandering around that bit out the back. It'd be nice to think that there was stuff laid in the bracken and we just walked past it, but I think there's probably nothing in there. I think if there was, we'd have bumped it out. So all we've done really is just get hot and attracted more keds onto us. So we'll go on a bit of a break again, make a plan for this afternoon. So we've had a couple of hours break, had a few cups of tea, some biscuits, and thought about game plan for this afternoon. So we're heading back up the big wood again, because obviously there was quite a lot of roaring activity in there this morning. So I'm sure that we're going to catch one of those spikers or a young stag just moving about on those rides if we're patient. It's about 10 to 4, so by the time we get up there it'll be about 4 o'clock. So a little bit earlier than I'd usually be going out. It's bloody boiling, it's like 21 degrees, so I think we'll just get into the wood and just loiter on that crossroads again and just see if we can see anything moving around. And then if we don't have any luck with that, then we'll head out on some of those fields again as it starts to get a bit darker. But it's certainly not October weather. We've got a bit of a dilemma now. I think whatever, we're going to go in the wood to start with and just wait in there, see if anything moves around. But obviously we've got to get right for the wind for coming out into the fields at last thing. And there's a chance that something might come out across this field, which is the one that's been sprayed off, which we were looking over this morning. But obviously there's nothing really there for them to eat, so I think we'll hedge our bets and go on the field where there's at least some green grass that they can eat and come out on, and then we can always hopefully get round to this field at very last light if there's nothing on the other one. So we're just getting into that area where those big wallows were this morning, and I've just spotted through the thermal a heat source and just up with the binoculars, and it's a reasonable sized stag. Just sat down, half asleep. Might be that one that we saw on the ride when we were from the crossroads. But we'll just try and get a closer look at him. I'm still getting eaten alive by these keds. So, we've got quite an interesting stag in front of us. It's a sort of early middle-aged stag, so probably 5 years old or something. He's got a funny antler on one side. He's got a bent down brow tine, a bay and a tray, and then the tops of the antlers, he's just got like 3 or 4 little points at the top. His left-hand antler is like a fully normal one. The reason the one side's unusual is I can see, looking at his right front leg, it's actually had a break in it. So rather than being a straight leg, it's sort of scooped a little bit out. So it's fully re-healed.
I had a good look at him as he was walking along. He was actually walking okay, so decided to leave him because we'll try and catch up with him with a client, rather than me just shooting it and, you know, sticking another head in the shed or whatever. There's probably 5 stags roaring around here now. Time's getting long up a little bit, so we'll head down to the field and try and get into position, see if anything comes out. So you can just hear him like belching at us, or grunting or barking, whatever you want to call it. That's like the red stag's alarm call, or the red deer alarm call. He doesn't really know what we are. We've got the wind in our favour, so he knows something's here and it's not quite right, but he doesn't know what we are. Just let him drift away through the wood. This is the problem I was talking about this morning. You see the trees are quite bare underneath where the deer obviously browse the leaves up to a certain height. I can just about make out that one's body moving around between the branches, but his antlers and his head are just up in those leaves, so it's obviously a good sized one from the deepness of its roar. But there's no way we're going to stalk in there and have a closer look. Unlikely to get a shot in there for all that stuff as well. That's why you've got to really wait on the fields and wait for them to come out. Well, just like that, it happens as quick as that. We're just walking down here to come around a corner, get onto that field where the maize is again. And I just noticed something run to my left. Obviously knew it was a red, but didn't know what. So I got the gun up on the sticks and just came across about 60 metres in front of us. Looked like a 2-point spiker. Just about to see its shoulder, so had a shot at it. It seemed to react quite well and it's run through the wood here. So we'll just give it a few minutes and we'll go and have a look. The big stag in there is not bothered at all, he's still roaring away. So it came out, it was stood about here when I shot, or on this line. Could have been a little bit closer that way, or a little bit further away. There's no obvious signs of blood or anything, but it's not unusual with those big red deer because the bodies are so big. Even if you get an exit hole, it's not usually very big, so you don't get a lot of blood pouring out the backside like you do with the smaller deer. But it looked a good reaction and it ran through there, so we'll just go in there slowly and have a look. Here it is in the ditch, more blood along here. So it's about 10 to 6 in the end. Obviously we've spent all day looking for a spiker or a stag, not had a lot of luck. Should have taken the one this morning really, but obviously messed about a bit trying to get a better angle on it for you guys. So this one just stepped across and just at a quick glance, sort of head front on, I didn't see this little tine on its left antler here. So it's not a bad spiker, but obviously if it had had a tine on the right antler as well, then it would have been a better one really. And unfortunately we just got, you know, numbers to meet with a cull, so better to take a few spikers and then once they get their sort of second set of antlers, then be as careful as possible with them, because obviously you can generally see
all the points coming out in wrong or right places. So yeah, he just dashed through about 80 metres, no blood until probably when he slowed up, like the last 10 metres, and then he got down in the ditch here, tried to get up the other side, and obviously just crashed down here. So yeah, quite convenient for us. We can get the trailer here and get the winch and just pull him up and out, because there's no way I'm going to pull him out on my own. Yeah, good result. We'll crack on back to the truck and get him picked up while we've got some light still. Right, so there we go, back at the larder, just before 7 o'clock. So I'm going to get this one sorted out. It's a shame we didn't get one in the morning, because I was actually going to show you guys how I do a suspended grellock on one of these, so we'll have to do that in the future. But long old day, good result, lots of nice stags seen. Obviously got that one with the funny antlers and a bit of a limp earmarked for some clients in the future, so hopefully we'll see him again. And it'll be November next time, so we'll be out for the main female species. So roe does, red hinds, fallow does will be in, Chinese water deer, obviously muntjac are in all year round anyway. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.